That's just his way of telling me he loves me, loves beyond all human understanding. I don't question trials that bring me to my knees. That's just his way of telling me he loves me. I was just thinking about that song. Today, I was thinking about disappointments, dealing with disappointments. And right before I started to do this, I had a disappointment. It wasn't the same kind of disappointment I was thinking about for this lesson, but it goes right along with it. So, have you ever been disappointed in life? Have you ever disappointed someone? I think we could all say yes, we have. So, today I want to talk about dealing with disappointments. I get lots of text. I get people reaching out to me and saying, Mom, pray for me. Pray for my friend. She's in the hospital. She may lose her baby. Mommy, pray for this person. They're very disappointed. They had went for a job. They had went for training and they've been rejected. They didn't pass the test. They're not doing so well. They're disappointed. So we've all dealt with disappointments. Life is full of disappointments. Some are easier to handle than others. You work hard, you do your best, you give it your best shot, you apply for that job or that promotion, and you just don't make it. So you question why? Why didn't I make it? I'm disappointed. Okay. So these delays and rejections make it very hard to go forward sometimes if we don't have the right mindset. Okay. So I've been there before. I remember applying, I'm hoping for a promotion and not getting it. And then they reclassify, and somebody that's been there with less time ends up moving up to the same position as me that I've worked for years to get to. So it's very disheartening sometimes. But we have to remember that if we place our hands in God's hands and we give him our life and we ask him for direction, then he allows these disappointments to come to help us, to draw us closer to him, to make us more compassionate and caring. Okay. So we want the peace of God in our hearts. We want the peace of God in our lives. And we want to do always what he would have us to do. So I was thinking about that. Sometimes we may see why these disappointments come, and sometimes we may not. And one of my favorite verses is Proverbs 3, 5, and 6. Trust in the Lord with all thine heart and lean not into thine own understanding. In all thy ways acknowledge him, and he will direct thy path. So it's important that we listen to him, that we look to him. Even in our disappointments, we can learn from it. So sometimes he's sparing us from something, or he has something greater for us. So I remember over the years in my life when I would apply for various jobs. One time when I was real young, I applied for a job and there were a line of people. I think I've talked about it in one of my devotions before, when I wanted to go work for Fannie Farmer. And God gave me that job in spite of all that. But then I had another time where I waited. I'd applied for a job and it was like 2 years. That job finally came open. And then when the job came open, they said, nope, I'm sorry. This is the only job in the company that you can't have because you have someone in your family that works here. And because of confidentiality, you cannot work in the human resources department. Talk about disappointment. It was a good place to work, great benefits, great people. I was disappointed, but I said, okay, God, you know what is best. That must not be the place you have for me. So we keep at it. We keep trying. There's peace in leaving our disappointments at the feet of Jesus. And God's delays are not denials. He still answers prayer. Romans 13:1 says, let every soul be subject unto the higher powers, for there is no power but of God. The powers that be are ordained of God. So in these times of disappointment, remember, in our life, there are times and seasons. Disappointments can teach us things if we will let God teach us things, okay? He teaches us our dependency on him. He teaches us not to put all our hopes in the things of this life. Opportunities come and go, okay? So we try again. They can either draw us closer to God or they can draw us further away from God. It's going to be up to us. I've had people that run away from God. They get mad at God. And others draw closer to him and have a relationship like no other because of that disappointment. We can survive and grow from our disappointments. We can come to a place where we will end up thanking God for these disappointments. I knew a young lady that had applied for a job. She was hoping to get this supervisor job, and she was already doing the job, but they hired someone totally new from outside of the company. Well, she was very disappointed, very disheartened. Well, down the road, not too many months after that, God opened a new door for her. It was a job that hadn't even been posted. It wasn't even currently a job. It was created. And her boss says, I think this job is for you. And it was. She walked into it. God helped her. She had a desire to visit family, but because of the expense to fly, she didn't know if she could go. But when God gave her that job, he also gave her an opportunity for a business trip in the same area with her family. So God worked it out for that special occasion. She went for that occasion. Her ticket was paid for, her motel room was paid for, her food was paid for, and her family benefited, all because God said no to the one door he closed. And that was a disappointment. But he said, wait a minute, I have something better for you. So our life is in his hands. And the song that says that, here's some of the words to it. I want to read it to you. It says, you don't have to worry, and you don't need to be afraid. Joy comes in the morning. Troubles, they don't last always. For there's a friend in Jesus who will wipe your tears away. And if your heart is broken, just lift your hands and say, I know that I can make it. I know that I can stand. No matter what may come my way, my life is in your hands. You don't have to worry, and you don't have to be afraid. Joy comes in the morning. Troubles, they don't last always. So remember that our life is in his hands. I put my life in his hands, and we can trust in him. With Jesus, I can make it. With him, I know I can stand. No matter what may come my way, my life is in your hands. So whether it be a job or a car or a house or a friendship, one way that you've been hoping that it would go, I often wanted to connect with somebody, and I was hoping that we could be friends because we had something in common, and it didn't work out. The doors didn't open, or they came and we talked and then nothing was there. So we went on our own ways. But if we set our affections on the things above and not on things below, then we know that God will help us through that disappointment. Colossians 3:2, set your affection on things above, not on things on the earth. So don't set yourself up for disappointment too. We can set ourselves up for disappointment. I've seen people, their whole life was measured in this one thing, this job or this university or this training or this marriage or whatever. And so we have to put our hope in Jesus. If that person that we like are seeking after, some of the kids will tell me, well, I like this one girl, but she doesn't like me. Well, God is able to move on her heart. But if she doesn't, then you have to keep on going. You have to keep on trusting God that she's not the lady for you. I have to tell them. So that's a disappointment. Hebrews 12:2 says, looking unto Jesus, the author and the finisher of our faith, who for the joy was set before him, endured the cross, despising the shame. So he knows what it's like to be disappointed. He knows what it's like for us to want something, but he also knows what is best for us. So we give him our all. We leave our life in his hands. So don't let your disappointments cripple you from doing what you can do, cripple you from going forward, cripple you from being all that you can be, cripple you and keep you from doing something better that God has for you. So a little bit ago, I had done something for somebody, and I was trying to make it easier for them. But because I didn't see, all the information was not there when I gave it to them, then it made it harder for them. And I was so disappointed in myself. I was frustrated. I was mad at myself. Okay. So I had to say, okay, God, I did my best. I didn't try to make this a disappointment or a hardship for this person. I give it to you. But if I'd let it, then I could let that situation keep me from trying to help someone else again. And I can't let that. I can't let the disappointments that come my way keep me from doing other things, keep me from reaching out, keep me from trusting in God, because with him, all things are possible. So let's rise up above it, above the disappointments. Let's pray. Let's forgive. If it's a person, this person forgave me. He's like, oh no, it's okay, Mom. You didn't mean to. It didn't come on purpose. But rise above it. Believe with Jesus, we can conquer our disappointments. Okay. With him, we can make it. With him, we can stand, because our life is in his hands. He's ready to help us with all of our disappointments. So draw close to him during these times when you are disappointed, and look to him as the author and the finisher of our faith. He will perfect that which concerneth us. He cares about us. He cares about our disappointments. I care too. I'll be praying. God will help you, those of you viewing this, and your disappointments. Take care.